Alright, hello everyone. Hello. We should be live about now. Yeah, it took me a second to get to the table. So anyway, let me just quickly get on YouTube too, because I have my webcam here pointing at me, but I won't be able to see your guys' comments unless I go and watch my own video. So, my channel, Afternoon Tea with Alex. So anyway, yeah, it's time for afternoon tea, you guys, and this is something that, like a little tradition that I want to continue because I really like it. I think it's fun. So, as we're supposed to, we're having English tea. This is Twining's English breakfast tea. And, let's see, we have our usual pastries of, let me skip this ad, there we go. We have our usual pastries of chocolate-covered digestives, which are basically just tea biscuits they're kind of like graham crackers, honestly. So they're slightly sweet, but perfect for when you're having tea. And then on the side here we have these little Scottish shortbread. So all authentic stuff. We are serving the tea on authentic Cunard liner dishware and a tea service set. So this set came from either the Queen Mary or the Queen Elizabeth. It's hard to say exactly which one. When I bought certain pieces, they had a note that said this is from the Queen Elizabeth. Other pieces said this is from the Queen Mary, but they've gotten mixed up, and so it's hard to say. But it's the same service all around. It's the same thing. So let me just say hello to some people here. So let's see, who we got in the chat? Hello Kraken. Hello Harrison. Hello ScanFan. Hello Hungry. Hello Andrew. Hi Eric, how you doing? Eric says, why are you doing this to me? Oh, I'm sorry you have to drive somewhere, but it is afternoon tea time, so why are you driving around during tea time? Let's see, Emma says, hello from Halifax, Nova Scotia. Hello, Emma. David says, have you considered high tea next? Yes, I've considered high tea, but it is a lot to work on. So if I do high tea, it's going to be with my sister and her friend at least. So that way at least we can all contribute to high tea because it's a lot of work, like a lot of food to put down. Let's see. Hello, Haley. Hello, Andrew. Mr. Corona says, Alex, it is wonderful to see you. Guess I'm not the only person not watching this Super Bowl. Yeah, I'm not a sports person. I don't know anything about the Super Bowl. Irving says, hello, found you from your Queen Mary videos. Hello, Irving, how you doing? Eric Levitt says, hello there, I'm driving too. Oh, good. Don't crash, okay? Alright, so let me start by putting the tea in the teapot. So I've already put boiling water in this teapot here. And, oof, gosh, that is really hot. Okay. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pour some of this water out, because it is too much. That's good. Tea infuser goes in. 5 minutes, so 4:09. Wait, what would be? 4:12. 4:12. I have to look at the clock and make sure I take the tea out then. So I just have a little water jug back here for dumping out the excess water. Yeah, I'm being really careful because they say that bone china doesn't crack, but I actually have a second teapot here that I can't use because when it arrived it was cracked. I know you probably can't see it. I can barely see it with my own eyes, but there are little cracks at the bottom where people have obviously poured boiling water into a cold teapot and it just cracked. So it can still hold water technically, it just will slowly seep out through the cracks. Anyway, so what do we have here? So I already told you about the food and the plateware. This is a like a little dessert plate from the Cunard ships. This is a little luncheon plate from the Cunard ships. These scallop dishes are the only thing that is not from either the Queen Mary or Queen Elizabeth. These scallop dishes, they're called butter pat plates. They're shaped like seashells. And these are basically from the QE2, the Queen Elizabeth II. I got them just because they were so cheap I couldn't pass it up. They were worth a lot more than what the person was selling them for, but I don't use them, I don't need them. I don't need butter here, so... and then back here, behind my teacup, I have a little sugar bowl with a little demi-tasse spoon for the sugar. That reminds me I better put this here. Back here is a waste dish. It looks just like the sugar bowl, but much larger. I don't use the waste dish for anything. I don't need it, but it's part of the set. Over here, next to the teapot, is a little creamer. So I've got my... It's not cream. I'm extremely lactose intolerant, so I use oat milk instead. Because believe me, I will feel horrible for hours after drinking milk or something. So, and then finally, what I have as part of the collection here, this is a hot water jug. So generally speaking, if I was to brew the tea, I'd put the boiling water in here, pour it into the teapot, or maybe the hot water jug would be used to dilute the tea if it was too strong. So that kind of thing, but again, I don't need it, so I'm just going with what I have here. Let me get back to the chat here. 2 more minutes on the tea. Let's see here. Let's see. Where was I? Oh, okay. Kraken says it's about 4:20 for me. That's funny. Michael Taylor says, afternoon for you, dinner time for me in the East. Cool. Yeah, dinner time after this, for sure. Well, I mean, I gotta start preparing for dinner after I'm done with the live stream, but the dinner won't be done for a while. Andrew says, my mom is gonna watch the Super Bowl, but I'd rather watch Alex. Yeah, yeah. Again, I don't watch, like, sports or anything, so I have no idea. Let's see. Hi, Alex. My family has been watching your videos for years, and we're all here today. Have you tried the tea called London Fog? No, I haven't. I'm actually still pretty new to tea. So I think some English teas I've had is obviously English breakfast tea. I've also had Earl Grey, but I didn't have it correctly. I had Earl Grey when I was a teenager, and I put cream in it. I heard you're supposed to actually put lemon instead. So I have to try Earl Grey again and do it right. Other than that, I haven't had any other English teas. So London Fog, I'll have to put that on my list. Is it like a black tea or herbal infusion or something like that? I'm still new to tea. I grew up as a coffee person. But as I get older, coffee, like the caffeine just doesn't agree with me. I need less caffeine. So, hello Matthew, over there in Georgia. Ray says, hi Alex, is this your new place? Are you back in SoCal or still in Oregon? This is my new place. I'm still in Oregon. I love Oregon. It's beautiful. The weather is always good for me. I love the cold and the rain and the clouds, and although it's sunny right now, that's good. But yeah, I love it up here, and I don't see myself going back to SoCal. And in fact, me and my sister are like trying to convince other family members to just move up here with us and get away from California. Let's see. VC Allen says, hi from Virginia City, Nevada. Hello. It is time to serve up the tea. So let me bring the teapot a little bit closer to me, because trying to reach all the way over there is kind of dangerous when you're dealing with near boiling water. So I'm going to go ahead and set this down. I have a little tea infuser. Comes with this plate. Okay. Yeah, I like the breakfast tea strong. So I actually make it twice as strong as what is generally recommended. And I heard that's actually a thing in Britain. I heard that that generally workers who are on their tea breaks will drink stronger tea. That's what I heard, which is kind of funny because that's the way I prefer it. I prefer it stronger. So put that there. I can take my teacup and dump out the water that's in it. The water jug is almost full. Bring the saucer over here. Can you still see what I'm doing? I think you can. Oh, I should probably move this over here then. Aha. Okay. Now. Yeah, that's fine. Leave that over there. Next comes the sugar. 2 little demi-tasse spoons of sugar. And then the way you stir the tea is back and forth instead of around in circles like a lot of people do. So that creates less noise and it disperses the sugar into the tea more effectively, is what I heard. According to these traditions, you must do these things right, and that's what makes it a tradition. So a lot of people might see this as pretentious or something, but I think what's great about afternoon tea is that it's a tradition. It's not pretentious. It's what people have done for a long time as part of the culture. But we in the United States, we don't really have that kind of thing here. And look, I didn't spill the cream this time. Last time I learned that you just have to have courage. You just have to go for it, or else if you go halfway, the cream will just spill all down the side. So you have to have courage. All right. And now, bottoms up. That is wonderful. All right, let's get back to the comments to see what people say. I can't wait to try this egg sandwich, though. I'm the Mr. Blue says, I can't wait until the Queen Anne comes out in a few years from now because the models make it look amazing and probably even more amazing in real life. Yeah, I agree. I think, see, I'm not a cruise ship person, but I do have to say in terms of cruise ships, I feel that Cunard just does it really well. You know, like I have a friend who you know, would like to go on Disney cruises and stuff, and I was kind of like, I might, because I'm a Disney person, but then I really thought about it, and like, you know, that's not my atmosphere. And then when I learned what Cunard cruises were like, especially the Queen Mary 2, which is an actual ocean liner and does actual voyages across the ocean, transatlantic crossings, I should say, I was like, that's me. That's what I love. I love the historical aspect of it. So one day I'll take a transatlantic crossing on the Queen Mary 2. But yeah, I think Cunard does cruises better, just in my opinion. Some people prefer other things, but Matthew says, hello from Gainesville, Georgia. Hello, Matthew. John C. says, hi from Portland, Oregon. Oh, cool. You're not too far from me then. Eric Levitt says, I assume you're not purchasing one of the Queen Mary lifeboats. You know, if I had the money, I would do it. I'm not even kidding. If I had the money and I had the space, I would purchase one of the Queen Mary lifeboats. But the thing is I don't, and so I can't. Which is really unfortunate, because those lifeboats will get tossed away into the trash if no one does anything. And right now, you know, a bunch of us at QMI, we're getting ready to, we're having a meeting today just to discuss this current situation and how we might be able to help if we can. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm really hoping that we can come up with a solution, because we don't want a single one of them to go into the trash. You know, I was even saying, you know, about the city, I said, you know, instead of throwing the ones that they can't sell away, you might as well just give it away for free at that point, because it's still a lot better than chopping it up and throwing it in the garbage. You know, like, someone out there will take a free, you know, Queen Elizabeth lifeboat, you know? So, I don't know, but... Alright, let's see here. Ivan says, good morning from Cape Town, South Africa. You watching the bowl? No, I don't watch sports. Kevin says, you already had a London fog. Earl Grey plus creamer is a London fog. Is that what it is? Oh, wow. Yeah, then I had it. I had Earl Grey with creamer. Let's see here. Waylon Butler says, do you think they will put new engines in the Queen Mary? I feel that they should fully restore it and then use it for summer cruises. So the Queen Mary cannot sail at all. There are two main reasons. One, the original Queen Mary is under contract to never sail again. That was the stipulation to which it was sold to Long Beach. Cunard will not allow the Queen Mary to sail again because it was once their flagship. It'd be like if someone bought Mickey Mouse and said, okay, now we're gonna, you know, use him to create a separate company that does animation and family entertainment to compete with, you know, the original Disney. That would never happen, you know. So that's kind of what's going on, is that Cunard doesn't want to see their own ships compete with their company. So that's why the Queen Mary is under contract never to run again. It's a legally binding contract. It's not just a verbal agreement. It's a legally binding contract. But even if that weren't there, the ship is so gutted in terms of the engines and stuff. It is so gutted, there's nothing left. And if you wanted to rebuild it, you just, it would be a financial impossibility, because no one would have the money to rebuild those engines and stuff. Not unless it was some really crazy rich billionaire or something. But there's no, like, government entities that would do it, that kind of thing. And even if you could put engines back in it again, the ship is so old, it just would not survive out at sea. You'd have to rebuild the whole ship down to every nut and bolt, and by then you'd have a brand new cruise ship. So it's just not possible. Part of what would make it seaworthy is taking it out into the ocean, and you can't have ships that are full of, like, wood and stuff out in the ocean. At least not any that are put back into commission. You know, if it's already been been running all these years, that's different. But with a ship like the Queen Mary, which was decommissioned a long time ago, and trying to put it back into service, it would never pass any of those inspections. So it just can't. It's just in terms of all the problems with doing that, it's just an impossibility. So a lot of people ask about that. So that's why I'm actually eventually going to make a video about it, and to explain it better in the video. Because a lot of people ask if the Queen Mary would eventually be able to sail again under, you know, someone else's management or something. So I just love those Scottish shortbreads. So good. Kevin says, the Queen Mary is lucky enough to receive a couple million for paint jobs and basic maintenance. The chances of it ever... This is so loud. Oh, God. It's so loud, like, I hear a truck in my ear. The chances of it ever going out to sea again is sadly almost zero. Yeah, I have to agree. Ivan Joseph says, tuning in from Cape Town, I can't describe how in love I am with Café Parisien, Scotland Road, and B-Deck Promenade. Oh, on the Titanic? It looks really great, yeah. I'm actually, on my second channel, when I make content for it, I'm going to be doing a lot more videos on that channel of me, like, touring, the Titanic Demo 401. So there'll be a lot more of that. I'm still, settling down in here. I was still unpacking today. I put that poster up on the wall today, and that stuff behind me. Let's see. Andrew Play says, congrats on your new place. I'm happy for you, Alex. Thank you so much. Hello, the Blue Nightmare. I see you. Hungry says, is that post of the Queen's original or something you can buy, and if so, where? Oh, this poster of the Queen Mary and the Queen Elizabeth. I got this on eBay. It was, I think, $11 or $12. It wasn't that expensive. There's someone on the East Coast that makes it. He prints them out, so it's not original, but it's a poster of an original. It's a print. I'm sorry, a print of an original. So and this size I think costed me $12 or $13 or something like that. So it really wasn't that expensive, and it's on eBay. And there's another poster I eventually want to get, but at the moment I have to stop spending money. Why did people scrap Mauritania and Olympic? Because as usual with most ships, they're pretty much useless. Only ships that really have a reputation tend to stick around as museums or hotels. The Queen Mary is around not because she was just some ship. A lot of people think that, oh, she's just some random ship that they saved. And it's like, no, the Queen Mary has this huge reputation that precedes her. And that's why she stuck around for so long. But, and even though the Olympic had a really great reputation, it was the 1930s. There was a Great Depression going on. No one would be visiting tourist places during the Depression. It was the interwar years, so there was definitely a type of political stress going on in Europe. So it just wasn't a good time to save ships like that. And so there was a group, I think, that wanted to save the Olympic from scrapping, but it just never happened because, it was worth more in scrap metal than it was, in terms of being saved. Unfortunately, I wish they would have. I wish that it would have survived to this day, but... David Norrell says, it's strange to mention that pouring tea, filling the English cup of tea, is actually half a cup, not filling it to the lip. Found that out at a tea shop. Thought you might like to know. Oh, okay. I don't know. So I was watching actual original footage on the Queen Mary of the stewards, who are British, pouring the tea, and they filled it almost to the lip. They filled it right below there's a yellow line here, and they filled it right below that. And I think the reason why is because this isn't the size of a normal teacup. This is a very tiny teacup. So I think that they were pouring a specified amount, and this teacup fits that specified amount. If I'd only poured this halfway, that would be good for one whole swig of tea. So, but I poured it just as they did back in the olden days on the Queen Mary. So, I don't know. Eric Levitt says, need to have a voyage with Alex on the Queen Mary too. Yeah, I really want to do that. I really want to go there, and I want to film the whole thing. My whole voyage on the Queen Mary too. I even want to film the whole Queen Mary 2, uh, every deck, every area, just to document it and stuff. All right, I'm going to try these sandwiches because I keep forgetting to try them. These are basically egg salad sandwiches. Generally, so they're made with half butter, half mayonnaise, and then it's seasoned with a little bit of garlic powder, salt, and then normally you would put watercress in there, but I don't have access to watercress, so I put chives, which was a different alternative. So I'm actually really excited to try this because the last tea sandwich I had was the cucumber one, and that was really good. Yeah, that is really delicious. I really enjoyed that. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited to do more of these afternoon tea things because it's just really nice. Sid Hearth says, did White Star Line went unlucky after Bruce Ismay took over? I don't know. I'll admit that. I don't know enough about White Star Line. But I do know that it's possible that it was just bad decisions, bad business decisions. It's hard to say. BC Allen says, let's go fund Alex a lifeboat. Yeah, please. Get me a Queen Mary lifeboat. Okay, let's see. Now that you are a Pacific Northwesterner, are you familiar with the Kala Kala? She was an Art Deco style ferry that operated on Puget Sound from 1935 until her retirement in 1967. I've never heard of it. Kala Kala. 1935, 1967. I'll have to look it up. Kala Kala. James G says, what are your thoughts on the new Titanic being built in China? I heard that park went under. They hadn't even finished building it, and they I don't know what it was. Maybe the pandemic finally was the last nail in the coffin, but I heard that project is canceled. I was watching a video with my friend, and it was like a drone video, and the whole project was abandoned for months. The whole thing was covered in rust, and plants were growing all over it, so it's not there. I mean, it's not being worked on, basically. I need paper towels. I thought I got myself entirely prepared for this tea time, and the one thing I didn't get myself was like a napkin or something. Alright, so yeah, the other project I heard that everybody is anticipating but is also canceled is the Titanic 2, which is basically a replica Titanic, but it's a cruise ship, and I heard that was canceled as well. So, Everett says, good afternoon, Alex. I'm very happy you've moved into your new apartment. Yeah, me too. I needed the space. What's funny is, this space is going to fill up fast, because right behind me, there's a reason why it's like big and open, is because that's where my model train layout is going to go. And it's big. It's 4 feet by 8 feet. And it's just going to take up a huge area back here. But I reserved space for it, so today I was putting up some of my decorations around the apartment, putting up posters and things. When I'm done, the whole apartment should be photogenic. It should be that I could turn the camera any direction in the apartment and it'll look nice. So that's my goal. And don't worry, you guys will get an official apartment tour in the coming days, because I still have to finish unpacking. But when I'm done unpacking, I'll finish filming the move-in video, and it'll include a apartment tour at the end. Let's see. Ivan Joseph says, "Love your videos. Keep it up." Thank you, Ivan. Hello, Evan Scott. Irving says, "Watched all 3 of your Haunted Disneyland videos today. Those were amazing, and thanks for continuing the Queen Mary updates. I've stayed in the Queen Mary 3 times." That's really cool. Yeah. I really want to book a room on the Queen Mary, but if you've watched my recent update on the Queen Mary, which I did yesterday, supposedly people won't be able to book rooms on it until early 2023. So I was really looking forward to booking a room this summer, honestly. I was so looking forward to it, but that's not going to happen. So, but I'm just glad that something is being done about the ship, even though it's very tiny, and it's a as they say, a drop in a bucket of water compared to all the things that need to be done on the ship. But nevertheless, these are the most hefty drops of water that need to be worked on. Evan says, "Why are the hotel not operating when the Queen Mary opens?" Because the ship, it has boilers for heating the hotel's hot water and the kitchen's hot water. So all the hot water that runs through the faucets and sinks of the hotel and the kitchens, well, they need hot water to run. It's against health code to operate any sort of hospitality business if you don't have running potable hot water. So it has to be clean, it has to be drinkable, and it has to be a certain temperature. And their current hot water boilers no longer work. They just haven't kept up with it, and so it just doesn't work. That's why. So it'll take them longer to buy new boilers. They can't repair them. Apparently they're beyond repair from what I hear, so they need to buy new ones, and that's why. So Linda says, "Oh, hey, Alex, looks like you got more pictures and stuff up." Nice. Yeah, I did. Let's see here. Hungry says, "I just went on eBay and an original version of the poster on auction as we speak for 400 GBP. Great British pounds, I think." Yeah. It's a nice poster, though. I mean, it's great. So if you can afford the original, then go for it, but I'm good with the print. I'm good. Zom Games says, "So Alex, when you're done with the Queen Mary series, what ship are you going to documentary on next?" Well, the Queen Mary series, I don't see myself being done with that this year. It'll likely be next year before I'm actually done with it. And I don't even know if done is the right word, because even though there's chapters in history to tell of the ship, there's still a lot of fun facts that could be given. Just a bunch of cool things, like what it was like to be a passenger on the Queen Mary, what kinds of materials the Queen Mary was built out of, what artists worked on it, the various stories that happened over the years, and trying to turn those into videos. There's lots of video opportunities for the Queen Mary. So I don't see myself being done with that this year. But nevertheless, I don't just do Queen Mary. I'm doing other ships. Like right now, I'm still researching a ship. I can't pronounce the name for the life of me. I'm gonna have to find someone who can. And I can't spell it either. It's such a long name. But anyway, yeah. So I'm gonna be working on doing that soon. So I'm doing other ships and things in between the Queen Mary. It's just far and few between, because I don't do like what other people do. I don't just, Google search really quick and then start jotting stuff down. Like, I actually do homework when I research ships. I look at several different sources, and then I cross-reference them to make sure that the information makes sense across the board. If it doesn't, then I try to, hack out the stuff that doesn't make sense and fill it in with stuff that does. And so it takes a lot of work. It's a lot of research. Sometimes I even end up having to buy books on the ships that I'm learning about. Like, I've got books on the Mauritania, the Lusitania, the Oceanic. I'm thinking about buying a book on the Queen Elizabeth at some point, but so it's like I have to have materials. I really do my work when it comes to researching ships. That's why you don't see me like coming out with a different ship every week. It's because it just takes a lot of work, So, Linda says, so nice that you know how to make these. I know you are a great chef. Would love to see some of your baking. I don't like baking. I can bake, but I don't like baking. I prefer either cooking or making bread, but baking, I don't enjoy it. But on the second channel, you'll see more of my cooking, because what I want to do is I want to recreate menu items that were served on various ocean liners and stuff. So, when is the next apartment tour? I would say, I mean, as soon as I'm done unpacking, I haven't even finished unpacking yet, so when I am done with that, then I will finish my move-in video, because I filmed the move-in process to a certain degree, so I'll have a video on that, and at the end of the video will be the apartment tour. Let's see. Thomas Brooks says, I've been building the Queen Mary and QE in Minecraft. So far it has been really easy to find original deck plans for Queen Mary, but nearly impossible for the QE for free. Oh, I know what you're talking about. I was doing research on the Queen Elizabeth, because I want to make a video on the Queen Elizabeth. It is really hard to get my hands on some deck plans. It's unbelievably hard. I don't understand. But, I mean, I think part of the reason is because the Queen Mary is much more famous than the Queen Elizabeth. So that's why. But, yeah, it is really hard to get your hands on deck plans for free. You'd have to pay a lot of money to purchase them on eBay and stuff. So, oh, the Kala Kala was scrapped? Oh, wow. Mike Marin says, like the Cunard poster on your wall. Thank you. I thought it was perfectly fitting to have it next to the Cunard's tea service. The Blue Nightmare says, why is the SS United States in dock? I don't know. That's why I haven't answered. I see everyone's messages. There's no need to spam the chat, but I don't know. It's in dock because it's gutted and empty, and there's been no people to spend money on it. So it's a really complicated thing to answer. Hungry says, have you heard of the Aurora Restoration Project? Originally a 50s cruise ship from Germany, now restored in a river in America. There is a YouTube channel for her. Yes, I have. I've been following her, and I've been following the Facebook page as well. So, very interesting stuff. I'm excited to see what they do with the Aurora. Evan Scott says, I have a Titanic model. That's really cool. I have one too, and I damaged it on the way over here. It was just... it was already damaged, just from years of having it. But when I was moving everything into this apartment, I dropped stuff on it, and it snapped the masts, and it just ripped out a lot of the funnel stays, and so I need to fix the model, and I will. It'll be on the second channel. I'll film it. Thomas Brooks says, Alex, have you seen the book The Only Way to Cross? It's about early 20th century ocean liner designs and overall history. I've enjoyed it. Yes. I have the book on my shelf right over there, and I finished it a couple weeks ago. Pretty cool. What's funny though is I learned that the information on the Titanic in that book is outdated. Um, I didn't realize the book was written so long ago. But yeah, I was like reading stuff. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. There's proof that this and this happened, not that and that. And I realized the book is really old. But the Blue Nightmare says, do you know a paddle wheel steamboat? Yes, the Natchez, right on the Mississippi River in New Orleans. Also the Mark Twain riverboat at Disneyland, which, yes, is a real steam-powered riverboat. Zom Games says, Alex, do you agree that modern ocean liners and cruise ships look like floating bathtubs that look top-heavy? Yeah, to me they look like a lot of people have said, like, if you took a building, like a tall, like, rectangular building, and then, like, laid it on its side and floated it in the water, I'm like, yeah, that's what it looks like. It looks like just a giant building, you know, so it's just, I don't usually like the way cruise ships look. I'm barely okay with the Queen Mary 2, the way it looks. And the only reason why is because it still looks like an ocean liner, just modern. But, let's see. Hat Dog says, Wilhelm Gustloff. I think that's a ship. I don't know much about it. Blue Nightmare asks, do they have lifeboats? The paddle boats? I can't, off the top of my head, I don't remember if the Natchez does. The Mark Twain riverboat certainly does not. I don't think the Natchez does, actually. But some steam paddle boats had lifeboats. They just generally didn't need it because, I don't know, I guess the rivers were so packed with boats back then that, you know, easily another boat could come by and help the passengers off. But I know some of them did have lifeboats. I've seen pictures of it. Specky says, just wondering, if Aquitania was not damaged and Britannic did not took Aquitania's supposed course, is there a possibility that Aquitania would have sunk and Britannic will survive the war? I think so. Hard to say. Evan Scott says, how do you get the Queen Mary lifeboats? So the city has not made any official announcements on how to get a hold of one. So you would literally have to call the city, probably the public relations department or something. You'd have to call around and then tell them you're interested in getting a Queen Mary lifeboat, and then they can direct you from there to who you need to speak to. I heard that in early March, or maybe even late this month, probably late this month or early March, the city will put out an official thing, here's how to get one. But I don't know for sure, and I wouldn't wait for that if I were you. I would just call them. Just call them and ask, because the longer you wait, the more likely more of them will get destroyed, or more of them will get, given away to other people. So, Lakota says, hey Alex, long time no talk. Off-topic question. How is the Forney layout coming along? I haven't worked on it in 2 years. I haven't had the room. But now that I moved into this brand new apartment, I actually have the space for it right behind me. So in the coming weeks, a friend of mine, Steve, he's going to come up to Portland to visit me. And when he does, he says he'll help me move the layout into my apartment, because I can't do it myself. It's really big and heavy, and I can't move it myself. So he says he'll help me move it into the apartment. So you'll probably see videos on it starting either super late this month or maybe sometime early next month. But yeah, I still have it. I just haven't been able to work on it because it's been put away in the garage for 2 years. But I still have it. It'll fit right here behind me. Let's see. All right. Yeah, I think there's other conversations going on. You know what? I'm going to try more of this. I should end the live stream soon because when I have the live stream like an hour long, I don't think anybody really watches it. It's too long for most people. Hungry says, what scale is your model train layout? It is ON30 scale. So, for those who don't know, that stands for O scale, narrow, 30 inch. So, yeah, it's ON30. And it's funny because after I started working on it, almost across the board, a lot of I think it had to do with the pandemic, but a lot of the companies that were producing stuff for ON30 scales had ceased most of it. They just stopped. They just focused on the more popular scales like N scale, HO scale. So, yeah, so it's going to be a lot harder to find the stuff I need. But nevertheless, I still have most of everything I need for it. So, whatever I don't have, I can try to build it. Yep, narrow gauge O scale. Technically, in real life, ON30 wouldn't exist because the 30 represents 30-inch narrow gauge, and there was no narrow gauge like that. There was 24-inch, and there was 36-inch, but there was no 30-inch. But ON30 was designed that way because since it's O scale, and they use HO scale tracks, the HO scale measures out to 30 inches if it were in real life. So they went with, ON30, but in real life it's not a real thing. There's no 30-inch narrow gauge railroads anywhere. But people use ON30 to replicate the 36-inch narrow gauge. So, I don't know. I don't know what mine is. Mine is kind of like a fantasy world, honestly. It's just completely made up from my mind. So, I don't really go by anything too realistic. Blue Nightmare says, what happened to RMS Aquitania? It was scrapped after World War II. So, or did it? I don't know. I'm still learning about ships. So, bear in mind, while I know a lot about the Queen Mary, I'm still learning about other ships. There's still stuff I don't know. So, I'm trying to answer to the best of my knowledge, but if I get something wrong, don't be too surprised. Anyway, I think this stream has gone on long enough. I mean, I could just round it out to an hour. I mean, it's almost been an hour, and I'm still working on this, so I could do that, but how is everybody? Are you guys doing well? The Wilhelm Gustloff was a ship, and she got torpedoed and sank on her port side. Oh, I didn't know that. Wakota says, so getting back on topic, if you could go back and sail on any ship, what would it be and in what class? That's easy. I would sail RMS Queen Mary first class. And it's because, first of all, it's my favorite ship. And of course, first class is the best on most ships. So yeah, that's what I would do. I think every day I would definitely have an official Cunard afternoon tea. I would try to sit out on the sun deck and watch the ocean go by, I would visit the first class swimming pool. Not that I would swim in it, but I would like to see it in its glory, you know. Yeah. And if it wasn't the Queen Mary, then I'd say Mauritania, first class. Titanic is really not anywhere on any of my lists. Because if I couldn't do Mauritania, I'd probably say either Queen Elizabeth or Oceanic. And if not Oceanic, if not Oceanic, then what else would I? Probably Carpathia. Maybe. Oh wow. Lots of comments. Sid Hearth says, to me, Titanic's interior still looks the best to this date. Do you agree? No. I mean, again, I'm a Queen Mary fan. I think the Queen Mary's interiors look the best to me. But if I were to choose a ship from the Titanic era, I still think that either Lusitania or Mauritania look better on the inside than Titanic does. I just do. Titanic is beautiful, but compared to other ships, it's very bland. Like the Kaiser Wilhelm II ship. That one is super beautiful, and that's much older than Titanic. I think it's like almost 20 years older than Titanic, but even back then it was just way better. Titanic is beautiful, but I think, I hate to put it this way, but I feel like Titanic is a little bit overrated. Not that I'm not a fan of it, it's just that people put so much stock in Titanic under every aspect, and I'm just kind of like, I don't see it that way. You know, I see it differently. So, Linda says, doing okay here. Vacation is ending, so that's kind of sad. Yeah. But me and my family are all healthy, so that's something. That's good. It's always good. But at least you were able to go on vacation, you know. So it should help relieve stress. I hope you feel relieved of stress. Sometimes vacations can be even more stressing. Yes, I am fascinated by all the ship info you've been posting. It's just as awesome to me as the Disneyland videos were. Yeah, I am too. I'm more fascinated by ships now than I was Disneyland. Like Disneyland, I felt like I hit a peak. I learned so much about it. I mean, you can never know everything. You can never know 100%, but I learned so much about it that I was just kind of like, okay, there's nothing major that's new that I can learn anymore. Now it's just little tiny things here and there that are small. And I've posted so many Disneyland videos. Even before the series that's currently on my channel, I had 2 other versions of that series. And I've updated them over the years. And so I'm just kind of like, alright, you know, I'm not so much a Disney fan as I was anymore. You know, especially with the way the company is now, the Disney I loved is no longer around. So, and then once I discovered the Queen Mary and I started researching into ships and stuff, I found a niche that I belonged in again, you know. When I was a teenager, Disneyland was my niche. It was the thing I resort to when I want to be creative, when I want to learn something, when I want to think about, stuff. And, Disneyland was my go-to. It's not anymore. Now it's ships. So, yeah. Hungry says, all well here. Other than that, I have COVID, but not really affected. Plus, more time to look at ocean liners. That's good. Well, I mean, I hope you get better from COVID, but I'm glad that you have more time to do what you want to do. Lakota says, Alex, you're such a cool person. I wish I had the time to acquire the knowledge you have and experience you have. Parts of your life have been so magical. I've been really fortunate in my life in terms of, like, being able to experience a lot, to see the things I've seen, like, I thought it was so funny, like, before I had to move to Portland, and leave behind my whole life in Southern California, by random coincidence, I was able to get a private tour of the Walt Disney Studios. Someone stepped forward and said, I'm going to help you get a private tour. I'm going to, they showed me and my friend around and stuff. And it's been over 2 years since then, so I don't mind saying it now. But yeah, it's funny because I always thought, I want to see the original Walt Disney Studios. And I thought, I'll never get to see it. And especially, but I was really lucky to be able to see that. It was really random, but it was really cool. And it kind of rounded off my Disney experience, and then of course being able to work at Disneyland. I mean, I would never work for Disney again. They're the worst company I've ever worked for. But it was an experience. An experience I wouldn't give up for anything. Even as much as I didn't like it, it was still so unique, Well, maybe not unique nowadays, but I liked it, So, Lakota says, I think I speak for everyone here when I say that we all love what you do and how you do it. Thank you so much. I work really hard on my videos because I want to show people the things that I find fascinating and show it in a way that will fascinate them as well. Because if you guys have made it through my videos, let me tell you, there is so much nerdy stuff in those videos that just random, like, little tidbits and things that I chopped up and sprinkled into the video. And if you were to just talk all that information to somebody, they would be bored to tears. But so the fact that I was able to, like, put it into a video that entertained someone, it's like, kudos to everybody who watches it, because you have just learned way more in one video than you probably would learn, just talking to someone who knows as much, So, yeah, kudos to everybody who gets it through the videos. VC Allen says, Alex, it's so cool that you spend this much time with us. I enjoy this so much. Thank you so much. Well, thank you guys, actually, because I do this not just to, like, spend time with you, but I do it because I need you to spend time with me. Like, it does get kind of lonely here a little bit, and being able to talk with people, and especially to share my interests, like, this is really cool. I left a lot of my friends behind in California, so I don't really have as many people to hang out with up here, so being able to, like, spend, an afternoon tea with everybody here and just to talk about ships and whatever else comes to mind, is really cool. So, thank you everybody for watching my stuff, and especially for watching this live stream. So I hope to do a lot more, in the future. Let's see. Big Blue Nightmare says, did SS Californian sink or get scrapped? SS Californian. I don't know that ship. I feel like I've heard of it before, but I can't think of where I've heard of it. Mike Marin says, I've always been an Armas Aquitania fan. then I'll have to do a video about the Aquitania then. John C. says, my trains are L scale or Lego minifigure scale. Lakota says, oh no, you can't beat the Disneyland Railroad videos. Those are the nerdiest videos of all on my channel. Those are the ones that are just jam-packed with information. And in fact, someone commented on my channel, they said, you know, you could have made do without all this extra information. And I thought, that's what this channel's about. You know, that's what people come here for. They come here to hear all that information they can't hear anywhere else. You know, because no one else wants to talk about it. You know, like there's so many channels who are just like, I'll give everybody the cliff notes because that's what people want to hear. And I came around and I'm like, well, there's people like me who don't want to hear the cliff notes. We want to hear, you know, every little detail of the subject. And so with the Disneyland Railroad video, because I'm such a railroad nerd, I was like, I'm going to make a railroad video that will knock the socks off of railroad fans, or even make new railroad fans out of people who never even thought about it. So, yeah. The Blue Nightmare says, a passenger on Titanic said a boiler exploded and that's what made her sink, and another passenger said a torpedo struck her, but World War I started in 1914. Well, you know, that's the thing about passenger accounts, is that sometimes they're really difficult because when you're in a crisis situation, it's hard to recall things correctly. Sometimes you think you see something happen and it doesn't, you know. Yeah, you know. So it's... I've been in a crisis situation before. I'm not sure if I'm ready to explain it, but it didn't involve me. I was just there. But you know, and I was asked by police, "Can you tell us what happened? What did you see?" And I'm like, "Okay, this is what I saw." And they're like, "Are you sure you saw that?" And I'm like, "Maybe." You know, like, but that's what happens is like when you're sitting, you know, in your apartment going, oh, come on, I can remember what happened if, you know, a ship sank. You have to remember that when you're in that crisis situation, when you're in amongst the chaos, it's hard to see things as they are. So some people thought the ship was struck by a torpedo, because that's from where they were on the ship, it felt like a torpedo. Or they thought that that a boiler exploded and that's what caused the sinking. But you know, again, that's just because they maybe didn't see the iceberg with their own eyes. So their brain makes up a solution. So I do know a boiler exploded after the ship was sinking, because as the cold water rushed into the ship, I think after it broke apart, I think, the water rushed into the ship and one of the boilers exploded, or maybe a couple of them did. Lakota says, wow, worst company you've ever worked for. I feel like that's pretty fair. We've all heard the goods and bads of Disney. Yeah, you know, I went into Disney really wanting to... Like, my whole mindset when I got hired into Disney was, I want to further Walt Disney's legacy. Like, that was my mindset. Like, I thought... when I went to work for Disney, I knew that, you know, Walt was long dead, but I thought, I'm going to be working for Walt. That was my mindset. And slowly as I worked there, I realized just how awful it was. I was treated so terribly by everybody. Well, okay, that's not fair to say. I did have friends there who were really nice and tried to help me out and stuff, but there was so much negative stuff that happened while I worked at Disney that it was just awful, you know. One of the worst, or the worst company, actually, I've ever worked for. I would never work for them again. I actually worked for them twice, because the first time I quit, because I was like, I've had enough of this. And then after I quit, I was like, ugh, you know, this job I'm in, you know, isn't working out for me. I want to go back to Disney, where I know how to do stuff. And I went back to Disney, and I realized my big mistake. After that, I promised myself, I said, Alex, do not go back to Disney for a third time. It will just make your life a living hell. So I was very careful not to ever go back to Disney. So, yeah. It was terrible. I mean, I worked all kinds of departments. Mostly, like most of my time was spent working in the kitchen. So I worked for the foods department. They had the cleanest kitchens I'd ever seen in any restaurant. Cleanest kitchens. So there's nothing wrong there. It's just the people. You're either working with people who are miserable, which rubs off on your day, or you're working with management who love making people miserable. And it's not fair because on the executive level, those people are responsible for the reason why you're miserable. So I always used to think, I'm like, why are these managers so cruel? Like, obviously they've worked here for 20 years. They know what it's like. You'd think that they'd want to make the place a better place. But some of them are just after, vanity, like they suffered, so they want to see other people suffer just as much as they did. And it's just like, I can't even tell you. I felt like, well, you know what? It's not hard to say. I felt like I was working for a bunch of children. And that's true because Disney isn't like other companies. They don't like, if you can't just hire into Disney as like a food manager, right? Like if you want to manage, let's say you want to manage Riverbell Terrace in Frontierland. You can't just go to Disney and be like, hi, I'm an experienced manager. I want to hire into Riverbell Terrace and manage that restaurant. It doesn't work that way. You have to start from the ground up. They do not hire management in. So you start off as, someone lower level, like a busboy or a kitchen steward or something, or a cashier. And then you have to work your way up to become manager of the restaurant. And on the way up, you're going through clique after clique after clique. People who are banded together as these like cool kids clubs, and even the management acts like a bunch of cool kids. And if you're not in with them, if you're you're not into what they're into, and you do what they do, then they're just be like, oh no, we like this other person more because they're cool. And honestly, like, that's what happened to me. I tried to move up, but the thing was like, different management teams I worked for, they were just immature, and there were people I saw that were affected too. I had 2 different friends die during the time that they worked for Disney. Not at the park, outside of the park, but they wanted to move up, and the company just smashed them to pieces, and they died that way, unable to move up. And that's what really shook me. It was like a cold bucket of water saying, Alex, this company is terrible, and the people you work for are terrible. That's why I left, but yeah. Alright, so let's see. Tuna says, love and blessing from the UK. As always, Alex. Hope you and all your wonderful subscribers are well. Thank you so much. Tim says, Alex, if you visit Seattle, I would recommend a visit to the Smith Tower, a beautiful old building with beautiful woodwork, brass, marble. Thank you for your amazing videos. Oh, thank you so much, Tim. I will have to look that up because I was there last Christmas, and we didn't get to spend much time, unfortunately. We were stuck in traffic most of the time. So we missed out on a lot. Mike Marin says, your Disney stuff is great, top notch. Thank you so much. Irving says, all the details is why I kept watching your videos. Glad you did things that way. Thanks. Linda says, loved the Disneyland Railroad videos, one of my favorites. Specky says, I feel like watching your stream is more important than my class right now. No. Get your education. Okay. Hungry says, if you plan to do ship games on the other channel, you have to try Stormworks Build and Rescue. Your PC should be able to handle it with ease. There are 1 out of 1 saleable models of Queen Mary 1 and GM2 and many more. I think Queen Mary 2, I think is what you mean. Okay. I'll have to check that out. Thomas Brooks says, Alex, where did you get your china? I got it all on eBay. I just had to hunt and hunt and hunt it down because it's not normally just all available. You have to wait for someone to actually sell this stuff. So, yeah. The Blue Nightmare says, did you know Walt Disney went on the Queen Mary? Yes, I have a video about that. Disney fan says, Disney World versus Disneyland monorail. Well, it's hard to say because there's kind of like a give and take. Like Disneyland monorail is cooler, I think. It looks cooler and it has there's more like stuff to see from the monorail. But the Walt Disney World monorail is bigger, more spacious, therefore more comfortable. And depending on where you travel on it, your journey lasts longer, so you feel like you're getting more of an experience out of it. But then again, I'm looking at it from a different way because Disneyland monorail in California is really more of a ride, whereas the Walt Disney World monorail is really more of a transit system. So it's just they're two very different things. Tuna says, get yourself some Yorkshire tea. Best tea in England. Oh. Everyone says, sorry to hear you were treated so poorly while working in Disneyland. Good on you for looking out for numero uno. Stay well. Yeah, I tried to help the people I was with, but, you know, a lot of people are stuck in certain circumstances, so they can't just leave the way I did. I was stuck in certain circumstances. I quit without having another job. That's how bad it was, folks. I left Disney without actually having another job on hand. Because I couldn't wait to get out of there. I couldn't wait to get out of there. So, yeah, that was terrible. SoCal Imagine says, are they going to reopen the Queen Mary? Just saw you made a video. We don't have an official day yet, but the city of Long Beach says that they are thinking about reopening in time for Halloween. But that's just to be able to get on the ship and tour it. The hotel's portion of the ship may not open until the beginning of 2023. Marrier PG42 says, is that Frank Sinatra back there? Frank Sinatra? Oh, you're talking about my my silhouette. Now that oval picture is my silhouette with my fedora hat on. I got that done at Disneyland. They cut it out for you right there in front of you. You sit on the chair, and there's usually like a person that will take like a piece of like construction paper, and they cut out your silhouette right there and put it in a frame for you and everything. The frame was overpriced, but the actual cutout was well worth the price. But yeah, pretty cool. Mike Marin says, when Roy Disney died, working for Disneyland went downhill from what I've read. Yeah, that usually happens with a lot of companies. When the original founders die and or they leave, things just slowly go downhill from there. Even if the company is more successful, working for the company goes downhill. So, and that's true for Disney. Linda Solis says, I feel you may not have worked for a lot of different companies. Unfortunately, lots of corporations have horrible management that make you feel terrible. Find the right fit for you. I have worked for a lot of companies. I worked for 2 different maintenance companies. I worked for Hilton. I worked for Bodine Sourdough Company. I worked for, let's see, there was one more off the top of my head. There was one more. Yeah, I worked for a smaller company that owned like a chain of 3 restaurants. So I've worked for 5 different companies, and then besides that, I started 2 different restaurants myself. So, well, not restaurants, cafes, to be truthful. Not full-on restaurants, but cafes. But I did work for 5 different companies, aside from Disney. And yeah, they have people that treat people bad, but you have to see it to believe what I'm saying. Like, you have to see what it's like at Disney. It's different. The other companies I worked for, yeah, there was issues with management. There was issues with people being happy and, people being paid unfairly, that kind of thing. But at Disney, it was like 10 times worse. It was so bad. Like I said, my most famous one, I got written up. This is when I was a cook working at the Blue Bayou in the back kitchen. I'm busy putting out like 15 orders of salmon plates that people ordered, and I got written up because I wasn't smiling while I was working. I'm not kidding. I got called into the office, and they said, "Yeah, we're issuing you a write-up." And I said, "For what?" They're like, "Well, you're just not, you're not pleasant or happy when you're working." I'm like, "Well, I'm always really nice to the people I work with." And they're like, "Well, that's not what we mean." I'm like, "Well, what do you mean?" And they're like, "Well, you don't have a smile on your face when you're working." I'm like, I'm in 110-degree heat next to a broiler, and I'm working and cooking like 15 orders of salmon at a time. I was like, I'm busy, I'm working. And I'm like, and you're writing me up because I'm not smiling while I'm working? Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, that's ridiculous. I've never had a situation like that in any other company I worked for. No one ever said that I was unpleasant to work for. If anything, when I had my 2 cafes myself, my own employees came up to me and said, "Alex, you are the best manager we've ever had." They're like, "Because you care." And I was like, "Thank you, like, that's what I do." But yeah, it's like, Disney was ridiculous. Like, absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. Oof. I get so riled up when I talk about Disney. Let's see. Tuna says, "Yeah, I would like to say thank you for your fantastic videos. You've answered a lot of interesting questions. Disney should give you a medal." Thanks. I don't think they will. If anything, they probably hate me for all the stuff I reveal. Matthew says, "I hope to sail transatlantic on the Queen Mary 2 in a couple years." Yeah, me too. I hope so as well. That's what I really want to do. Sid Harth says, "Thank you, Alex, for answering me. Really love you and your videos. Greetings from India." Thank you so much. Greetings to you. Disney fan says, "Wait, the Disneyland monorail doesn't have 'Please stand clear of the doors,' right?" No, they don't have that. The monorail pilot will say it themselves. They'll say, like, "Please keep your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the monorail and stay clear of the doors. The doors will be closing in a second," and then the doors close. But it doesn't have an announcement. But there is a tone. There's like a bing, bing, and then the doors close. That's it. Mario PG says, "Nods, Frank Snows." Oh, I know you. You're Daniel. I know you. It's hard to see your icon from here. The Blue Nightmare says, "If you never knew of Queen Mary, which would be your favorite?" If I never knew of Queen Mary, then my favorite would probably be Mauritania. Yeah. Tuna says, "What sandwiches are you eating, Alex?" So this time today, I have a egg salad sandwich. It's made with half butter, half mayo, seasoned with garlic and salt, and it's got chives in it. In fact, I should finish this one because it's been sitting here for a while. Linda says, "That's sad. I worked for Great America and their management was awful. Worked for a telecom company that was worse, but work with nonprofit now and it's much better." Yeah. Yeah. I loved working for Hilton. Hilton was good because they didn't micromanage. At least not me. They never micromanaged me. I don't know. Maybe I just did my job so well they didn't need to micromanage me. I don't know. But I liked working for Hilton. That was cool. And Bodine sourdough. Oh, I loved working for Bodine. Hard work being a baker, um, but it was a good job. I liked that one. You know, you run into coworkers you may not get along with and stuff, but that's normal. You know, like I had that at Bodine, but ultimately I liked the job. Tuna says, your story for being written up for not smiling is why things like work reform and anti-work are so popular right now. Employees have been walked over too much. Yeah. It was ridiculous. It was just silly. Thomas Brooks says, as a percentage, how much happier are you now versus then? Oh, it's hard to put it into a percentage, but I would say, I guess I would say I am 10 times happier now than I was when I worked for Disney. That's because now I have a lot more freedom. You know, I've thankfully worked really hard throughout my life to get myself into a place where I don't have to work for big companies like that anymore. I mean, I don't make a lot of money. I mean, honestly, if you look at my fridge, it's like empty. But but I'm so much happier with an empty refrigerator, you know, than to be working for Disney and have a full refrigerator. Honestly, I'm so much happier doing what I'm doing now, my YouTube channel and stuff, and you know, I'm gonna be trying to start making things by hand and sell them on Etsy or stuff like that. You know. I'm so much happier now, as poor as I am, because I think I made more money working for Disney than I make right now, but I'm happier now. That's how crazy it is. I make less money now than I did 10 years ago, but I'm happier, and I'd rather be like this than working for Disney and not be happy. Mike Warren says, you had to smile in the back of the kitchen? No, nobody else had to. I knew other people who were freaking grouchy. I was a nice person in the kitchen, but other people were grouchy because of the heat and the hard work. You start to get grouchy, but I was never like that, you know. Yeah, I don't know, it's a thing I grew up with. My grandma always taught me, like, never be grouchy. so I'm never grouchy when I'm at work, but again, it was weird. I was like singled out for it. I think I know why. There was a person I worked with who was my shift lead, and he really didn't like me for some reason. I don't know why. Matthew says, so what is all happening with the cofferdams being installed in the Queen Mary? I heard that water is coming into the bow. Is this true? I have tried to ask around if that's true. No one can confirm it. I don't know for certain. I don't want to say the person who said it wasn't telling the truth. I mean, they probably were telling some form of the truth, but here's my interpretation of it. I was in the bow of the Queen Mary last time I was on the ship, and when you walk through what's called the water softening plant, it's just ahead of the boiler room 1. The whole basin is filled with water, but that's not like on accident. That whole room, the water softening plant, is used for Halloween. It's a Halloween set piece, and the basin is filled with water because there's pumps under there, and it's designed so when the Halloween effects are triggered, the water like squirts out through the walls to make the ship look like it's sinking. That way it scares you. You know, again, it's all Halloween decoration. So I think the person who said that must have seen the water basin, which again it's a fiberglass tank, and it doesn't look like it's a tank. It looks like it's part of the floor of the ship. That's, you know, it was designed as a set piece. I think they saw that and thought that the ship is leaking. That's my interpretation. If you want to see it yourself, you can go to my Queen Mary virtual narrated tour video. It's on my Queen Mary playlist. And somewhere near the end of it, you can check the chapters, but somewhere near the end of it, we go. I show the water softening plant, and I show the water, and in the narration, I tell people that the ship's not leaking. That's just part of the Halloween set piece. So it's a basin full of water. So that's my interpretation of it. I think the person saw the basin of water and thought the ship was leaking, and that room is near the bow of the ship. So I think that's what they saw. So so yeah, I don't personally think the ship is leaking because again, they did a whole inspection a couple months ago. They finished in winter of last year. So I'm gonna say December 2021 is when they finished the whole inspection. They did an ultrasound of the entire hull. They had scuba divers down there and everything, ultrasounding the ship with this big ultrasounding device. They said the average thickness of the hull was about an inch thick, which the ship was originally built to have 1.25 inches. So it only lost a quarter of an inch over all these years, over almost 80 some odd years. And they said that they never saw any leaks when the divers were down there and when they inspected the ship, because engineers inspected the ship. They said they didn't see any seawater leaks at all. So, yeah, with a hull thickness of 1 inch and the inspectors just a couple months ago never saw any leaks. I don't think there would be one. So that's why in my recent video that I did yesterday, I didn't mention it because I was like, I don't think it was leaking. But the cofferdams are there so they can install the bilge pumps, because the bilge pumps, you don't want any, when they install them, there's always the risk that they could puncture a tiny little hole in the ship or something, just by installing the bilge pumps. And then they have to install the pipes for the bilge pumps because the old pipes are either cut off or blocked and that kind of thing. So they have to literally install all new pipes for the bilge pumps. So that kind of process could lead to potential issues if they accidentally puncture the ship. So they need the cofferdams there because they don't currently have watertight bulkheads to prevent water spreading through the ship. So the cofferdams are there just as an insurance thing, just to make sure that until they have those bulkheads built up, that the ship won't suddenly spring a leak and it'll spread everywhere. So Mike Moran says, your grandma sounds great. Yeah, she was. She was great. Let's see. Tuna says, bedtime for me. It's late. Good night, Alex and everyone. Enjoy your tea. Take care. Keep safe. Thank you. Have a good night. I should end this live stream soon. It's been going on for way too long. Blue Nightmare says, do cruise ships have watertight doors? Yes, they do. It's located closer to the water line of the ship. Brandon Bush says, where do you work now? Right here on YouTube. It doesn't pay much, but but I do what I can, and I'm trying to expand my scope of everything I do so that way I can try to earn more money. So that's where I work now. But yeah. Blue Nightmare says, do you know Queen Mary is an oil burner? Yes, I do. Thomas Brooks says, do you think they should recreate some of the third-class cabins on Queen Mary? Yes. I think they should bulldoze room B340, because that was originally third-class cabins, 5 of them, and then I think they should rebuild those 5 third-class cabins That way, people who are on the ship tour don't have to go very far to see actual third-class cabins because they're right there on B deck. So I think that's what they should do. And right across the way from room B340 is the synagogue, the Jewish synagogue, which should be restored as well, so people can actually see that. So, yeah, that's what I think should be done. Anyway, I'm going to end this live stream. I'm going to finish my tea and my sandwich, but I'm going to end the live stream only because it's been going on for a long time. I don't think anyone's going to watch this whole thing back again. But anyway, I plan to do more of these. What day is it today? Is it Sunday? I want to do another one on Tuesday, and then maybe another one on Thursday, and then Sunday again. I want to see if I can do it on those days: Tuesdays, Thursdays, Sundays. So I'm going to try to keep to that schedule: Tuesdays, Thursdays, Sundays, all at the same time as that happened today, because 4 p.m. at Pacific time is, tea time here. So I'm going to try to do that. Yeah, and I hope people will tune in. I hope you guys liked this live stream. I hope you enjoyed seeing it. I'm going to try different things in the future, making different kinds of tea foods. At the moment, I don't have much money for buying ingredients to make various stuff, but I do have money for cucumbers and cream cheese to make those cucumber sandwiches again. And of course, I have some money for more egg sandwiches. They're so good. So I'm going to try to do that. Oh my gosh, Hungry JTA says bye and donated 20 NOK. I'm not sure what NOK is. But thank you so much anyway. Wow, that is incredible. Thanks so much. Now I can buy more ingredients to make more stuff for tea. So anyway, thank you all so much. I gotta walk over to my computer now to turn off the live stream. But I will see you all next time, and look out for more history videos and more live streams to come. And an announcement for my second channel eventually. So thank you all for joining me, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.